Hey, what's going on, guys? This is Gaming Fiends. I got another video for you guys here today. I'm going to be talking about the new weapons. What are they called? Artifact weapons. I'm at Blizzard's website right now. I'm taking a look at them. Not all of them have been announced yet because there's going to be a lot of them. Every specialization of every class is going to get their own weapon. So far, my favorite obviously is just going to have to be the ashbringer. I mean, it's just such an epic weapon. Um, and Ret Paladins are going to be lucky enough to wield this. But basically, this is probably the feature that I'm excited about it. I have to admit that I'm excited about it. However, this is one of the features that I would say might not be a great idea. And even though you're probably really looking forward to using these awesome weapons, the thing that makes most of these weapons awesome, at least in my opinion, is just the fact that they're not obtainable in the game. It's just a legendary weapon that no one can actually get, that you've only like heard stories of or whatever. Only the greatest characters in game, NPCs actually can wield them, like Tyrion Fordring has the Ashbringer and everything like that. Um, so even though the Ashbringer is just an awesome weapon, if every single Ret Paladin in the game that's whatever level 100 is actually going to get this weapon, it's really going to diminish the actual epicness of the weapon. Everyone's gonna log on 5 minutes later. Everyone's gonna have the Ashbringer that's a Ret Paladin, and I think that just causes the just like the mystery of the weapon to just kind of disappear. Everybody's gonna have it. Yeah, it's an awesome weapon with awesome history, but I would be cool to see it in the game in some other form, like a legit legendary, like I don't know, something like Thunder Fury, Blessed Blade of the Windseeker. It was just incredibly difficult to get, and just it was an extreme feat of strength to actually obtain it. I think it would be a lot cooler as something like that. But on the other hand, I'm looking forward to these weapons. One thing that was really interesting that I decided to bring up real quick. Um, on the website, it's actually showing a bow, but I heard that marksmanship hunters are not going to have pets. Beast mastery hunters are going to have pets just like they normally do now, and then a survival hunter is actually going to be a melee. It's going to be a melee class from now on. Um, so they will not be using a bow. They will be using a spear, I believe. I'm not sure about that. But I thought that was very interesting. Um, so yeah, out of these weapons, they all look awesome. And I was, you probably already know this if you watch the live stream. That they gradually, they get new skins for them or whatever. They look cool. As you level them up, doing various things, not just leveling them up, but unlocking new skins and stuff of that nature, um, which is pretty cool. And because if everyone had the exact same skin of every single weapon, that would make it a lot less exciting. A lot less personalized, I guess. And whatever skin you're using on your weapon actually shows the accomplishments or the achievements you actually earned in game, which is pretty cool. So even if everybody has the Ashburner, maybe if you have unlocked this skin by doing some difficult task in the game, then it's more of a status symbol. They actually be wielding that weapon. Um, However, personally from my personal standpoint, the whole you're playing and you're like the ultimate hero or whatever. I kind of wish they would maybe take a step back from that a little bit. We had in Warlords of Draenor with the garrisons. Everyone was like saluting you in your garrison. You're like just a hero. You were a general, a commander, whatever. And I think this just further, you're even more of a hero now because you're essentially the heroes that were wielding these weapons prior. You're kind of taking their status, but that doesn't really make sense when it's every single player. Any noob, buys the game, jumps to level 100 because you do get a free 100 boost, and then you can automatically get this weapon. And I mean, ever since I found out about some of these weapons, the Ashbringer in particular, I've always thought about how epic it would be to have it, and if they actually did put it in game, how difficult it would actually be to get it, and how awesome it would be to have. Um, but for everyone to have it, it doesn't really necessarily make sense. Um, but I can't necessarily say that I'm not excited about it because whatever the warrior weapon is, I'm probably going to be playing a warrior unless I reroll Demon Hunter. I'm actually looking forward to using that sort of weapon. So really, it's just going to be interesting to see how it pans out. I'm not really going to take a huge stance one way or the other. Just my personal take on it right now is that I don't like how these awesome weapons are just being handed out to everyone, and I think a lot of people can probably agree about that. However, I'm also admitting that I'm excited to use weapons like this. Um, even the ashbringer would maybe convince me to go back to my ret paladin. Um, I believe this right here is the Death Knight weapon. Yes, this is the Death Knight weapon. And I've talked a lot about my stance on this and everything, but if you actually don't know what these weapons really are, I'll go over that real fast. So basically, when you first start playing, there's going to be like a quest chain that unlocks these, and you're just going to go get it. I think this is for the monks right here, the staff. Basically, to get this one, you have to go to Pandaria. Um, to get this one, I don't know where that is in the background. Maybe that's where you have to go to get it. This is the mage weapon. Here's the Death Knight weapon. The Paladin weapon. That's the forge and Iron Forge where it was actually made. So maybe you'll have to go there to get it. I don't know. This looks like maybe the Sunwell, maybe. So maybe that's where you go to get this bow or something. I'm not sure. Um, but yeah, it's going to be very personalized as far as where you go to actually obtain this weapon. It's going to be very personalized for each class, which I also think is pretty cool. And they've talked about trying to give more class identity, which I think is important. Also with the addition of the class order halls, however, that's going to be another video probably. But anyway, it's just these. Tell me what you guys think about this in the comments, because honestly, I'm kind of split between the two views right now. I'm skeptical of this, but at the same time, I'm really excited about it. I'm really not hating on this feature. Um, I'm not trying to be negative about it. I'm actually looking forward to it. However, I would just like to point out, my main argument that these weapons aren't really as epic if everybody's got them, and I think most people probably understand that, probably agree with me on that. But let me know in the comments if you do or don't agree with that. Um, so yeah, um, you can unlock these different skins for it to make it more personalized. Some are PvP skins, some I would imagine would be rating, stuff like that. But there really just haven't been a ton of details yet regarding these. In fact, not all. Like these are only what? This is only 5 sample weapons on the website right now, and you can actually go to this website. I'll go ahead and put that URL in the description. But chances are, if you're watching this video, you've probably already been there. I'm trying to think if there's anything else to say, or if I'm gonna wrap the video up. I'm probably gonna wrap it up pretty soon. But yeah, just another thing. Like I said before, each class and each spec is gonna get their own weapon. Right, paladins are gonna get the ashbringer. This is a two-handed weapon. This is probably gonna be like a blood death knight weapon for death knight tanks. This is probably gonna be a frost mage staff, since it's the Ebonchill great staff. I would assume that would be for a frost mage. I would assume this staff right here would most likely be for a Mistweaver monk. I don't know any of these. I'm just guessing. And maybe this would be a beast mastery since it has the eagles, but I'm not sure. Yeah, I think this is going to be a really interesting feature, and I'm not going to have a definite stance on it until I actually see it in the beta. But as of right now, like I said, looking forward to it. Just a little bit skeptical, and I think a lot of people are maybe in that same position. But just go ahead and let me know what you think in the comments. Yeah, I can't think of anything else to say. So I'm going to end the video right here. But actually, before I do that, I'd actually like to give a quick shout out. I didn't forget about you, man. I'd like to give a shout out to LV Gaming. He subscribed to my channel maybe a couple weeks ago. I've been talking back and forth with him, and I would definitely recommend checking out his channel. He makes gaming videos. He doesn't make World of Warcraft videos, but he does make a lot of good gameplay videos, so I recommend you check him out. And I'll put a link to his channel right here up on the screen. Alright, that's it. Thank you guys for watching. This was Gaming Fiends.